16 minutes, just 16. That's how long it took for Representative Liz Cheney to be booted from her post as the number 3 Republican in the GOP, her GOP leadership post. Well, yesterday, Liz, she had something to say. She sounded off on the airwaves, criticizing her colleagues for condoning Trump's lies, and he's told many of them, and standing up for the truth. Our D.C. correspondent Bofta Yimam joins us now. And Bofta, what do you have?
Well, look, Liz Cheney, Mike, may be out of the formal leadership post, but she is still a congresswoman who is passionate about her voice and message getting out there, and she did just that on Sunday. She criticized GOP colleagues for downplaying not only the January 6th riot, but also Trump's lies that the election was stolen. Her replacement for the number 3 House spot, Representative Elise Stefanik of New York. Now, Stefanik is a major Trump ally, but GOP critics say her voting record raises eyebrows since she has not leaned conservative. Despite that, Cheney was removed on Wednesday, Stefanik elected Friday. Cheney says her stance boils down to an oath to the Constitution, not partisan politics.
And I asked this about both McCarthy and Elise Stefanik. Are they being complicit in what you consider the Trump lies?
They are, and I'm not willing to do that. You know, I think that there are some things that have to be bigger than party, that have to be bigger than partisanship. Our oath to the Constitution is one of those. I've seen countries, I've worked in countries around the world where you don't have a peaceful transition of power. What's happening right now with Donald Trump and his continued attacks on the Constitution and the rule of law is dangerous, and we all have an obligation to stand up against that.
I believe that voters determine the leader of the Republican Party, and President Trump is the leader that they look to. I support President Trump. Voters support President Trump. He is an important voice in our Republican Party, and we look forward to working with him.
Cheney, she's a strong leader. She's very, and she's an amazing individual. And so she's not what some might consider a rhino, not at all. She loves the Republican Party. And for the new young lady who's in this position, Stefanik, I'm excited for her as well, because it's going to continue to put women in those positions, continue to show the strength of women in our party.
Cheney says she regrets voting for Mr. Trump back in November and did not specifically rule out her own presidential bid potentially in 2024. So we'll keep an eye on that. Mike.
Yeah, that's what it seems like Trump may be trying to do himself in 2024. A lot of those lies that he told obviously was about the election in 2020, and that led to the insurrection right behind you on January 6th. So the House right now, I understand, is expected to vote on 2 bills designed to prevent such attacks. Can you tell us about those bills and where they stand?
Absolutely. So we have 2 different bills, both of them expected to be voted on within this week. So you've got the first bill that's really about that commission, similar to the 9/11 style commission that was formed after the attacks at that time. So you'd have a commission looking into what went wrong and really digging into that. They would have subpoena power, which is very important within this commission. Then the other bill is focused on $1.9 billion towards security to help prevent future attacks on Capitol Hill. This would also include money designated to members for both their protection here in Washington and also at home. As we know, they go back home to many of their offices, and they've talked about these past several months about security being a top concern for them, especially after the January 6th riot. And, you know, Liz Cheney, I want to go back to that for a second. She pointed out that Kevin McCarthy should be subpoenaed for this commission because she says he has insight into Mr. Trump's state of mind on January 6th and how much Mr. Trump may have known about the proceedings getting to that point where they became very violent. So how much was he in the know? At what point was he in the know? And she believes that Kevin McCarthy would have some insight into that. Now, this commission has been going back and forth as to whether the commission would be formed, I should say. They've been talking about this, finally reaching what seems to be a bipartisan effort, because this would be a 10-member commission, split Republicans and Democrats, but it still has to be voted on. And we know that that 50-50 Senate may not be willing to really go to the lengths to really investigate January 6th, and to also give money for spending at this time, because we know that they've raised concerns about how much money has been spent, how much money is being talked about with all of the infrastructure plans and so forth. So for them, it's just another, dollar amount they want the commission. Some of them have said, like Mitch McConnell, let the commission look into that $1.9 billion in spending, is what's needed and where, and then let's put it up. Democrats are trying to move a little bit faster on that spending bill related to security. So we'll, of course, see. And you can hear the birds. I want to pause for a second because it's Monday, Mike. You can hear the birds chirping here on Capitol Hill. That's the opposite of what's happening inside of the GOP. They want to sing along. They want to be unified. They want to go back and forth with each other in this pleasant manner, but it ain't happening. And Liz Cheney is making sure that her voice gets heard and disrupts any of that sing-along happening. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
Yeah, the sing-along right now the GOP is throwing out there is the wrong tune. They're right off tune in a lot of people's opinion, including Liz Cheney's. We'll see what happens to the future of the Republican Party. From Washington, D.C., our Bofta Yimam, we appreciate you. Thank you.